I never thought a quiet weekend at our lake cabin would end with my brother lying in a pool of blood shot by a man in a fake police uniform. The image still flashes in my head, the gun leveled at Ethan's chest, the deafening bang, his body collapsing to the ground. And the worst part, it wasn't random. The HOA, the same people supposed to protect our community, had sent that man. All because my brother refused to bow down to their bullying. It had started like any other trip. Ethan and I packed up the car, excited for a couple of days away from the endless HOA notices and Karen Mitchell's shrill voice dictating how we should live. Karen, the president of the Lakeside Haven HOA, was a nightmare dressed in expensive suits. She fined neighbors for their grass being an inch too tall, screamed about unsightly Christmas lights, and siphoned money from the HOA fund for her pet projects. Ethan had been the only one bold enough to call her out, and for that she hated him. Still, I didn't think her hatred could follow us all the way to the cabin. The moment the black SUV pulled into the driveway, I knew something was off. The guy stepping out wore a police uniform, but his eyes were wrong, too cold, too eager. He walked straight to Ethan, asking if he was Mr. Green. Before Ethan could even respond fully, the man pulled out his gun and barked, "On the ground!" My heart froze. Ethan didn't flinch. He had that calm, soldier stance about him, but I was trembling, unable to move. Then the radio on the man's belt crackled. "Green's been located." And that's when I realized this wasn't law enforcement. This was an execution. I screamed at the man to stop, but he barely looked at me. Ethan, still steady, asked who had sent him. That split second of hesitation in the fake cop's eyes said everything. He wasn't working alone. Then came the gunshot. The sound tore through the air and Ethan collapsed. I dropped to my knees, blood soaking into my hands as I pressed on his wound. I thought I'd lost him right there, and the smirk on that man's face had told me he thought the job was done. But before he could finish us, both headlights blazed down the driveway. More cars pulled up, men stepping out shouting commands. The fake cop faltered, his confidence cracking. Among the new arrivals was someone I never expected, Representative James Cooper, a politician I'd only seen on TV. He ordered the gunman to stand down with a voice that carried a weight I couldn't place. For a moment I thought Cooper was our savior, but the more he spoke, the more it became clear this wasn't just about Karen or some petty HOA vendetta. Ethan had stumbled into something bigger and darker. At the hospital, the nightmare didn't stop. While doctors fought to keep Ethan alive, Cooper and his men hovered like shadows. They insisted on protecting us, but their words felt like smoke designed to keep me confused. They said Ethan had enemies in powerful places, that he'd uncovered something tied to corruption. But all I could think was my brother was lying unconscious and these people were talking politics. I hated them for it. There was a moment sitting alone in that sterile hospital room when I almost broke. I stared at Ethan's pale face, at the machines keeping him alive, and I thought maybe Karen was right. Maybe we should have kept our heads down, painted our shutters beige like everyone else, and shut up. What if all of this was our fault? What if I had dragged Ethan into something he couldn't survive? I wanted to curl up, to give in, to stop fighting. Because fighting had only brought blood. But then one of our neighbors showed up. A quiet man, usually too scared to speak up, pressed a flash drive into my hand. It had security footage Karen's SUV lurking near our cabin days before the attack. My despair hardened into something sharper. Karen hadn't just overstepped her HOA duties, she had declared war. And suddenly, I wasn't scared anymore. I was furious. Word spread quickly. Other neighbors began whispering about the fines, the missing money, the way Karen had bullied them into silence. People were tired of living under her thumb. It wasn't just me and Ethan anymore, we had allies. For the first time, I felt like maybe we weren't alone in this. The climax came at a packed HOA meeting in the clubhouse. Karen walked in like she owned the world, her lawyer at her side, ready to spin the narrative. She sneered at me, called Ethan a criminal, and claimed the shooting was a misunderstanding. I could feel my blood boil as I stood clutching the flash drive, my voice shaking, but clear. I laid out the evidence, the video of her SUV, the documents proving she funneled HOA money into her personal accounts, testimonies from neighbors she'd harassed. The room erupted, but it wasn't until Karen lost her cool that the truth came out. Red-faced and trembling, she slammed her fist on the table and shouted, "Yes, I sent someone. That man needed to be gone or he was going to ruin everything." The silence that followed was deafening. Every resident in that clubhouse had just heard her confess. Real police. Real ones not. Karen's hired thug were waiting outside, tipped off by Cooper's team. They stormed in, handcuffed her on the spot, and dragged her out as she shrieked about how we'd regret crossing her. The sight of her being led away powerless for the first time in years was the closure I didn't know I needed. I didn't cheer. I didn't smile. I just stood there staring at the spot where she'd been, my hands still trembling. Ethan was still in a hospital bed fighting to survive. The community would need time to heal, and me, I was done playing nice. Some battles you don't choose, but when they come for your family, you fight, and you make damn sure you finish it.